Welcome to Sports Geek, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host who is trying to keep up with the changes to Meta, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. My name is Sean Callanan, and welcome to episode 349 of Sports Geek. This week, I chat with CEO of Mahaka Sports, Cahyadi Wanda. We discuss the recent FIBA Basketball World Cup that was held across three countries, Indonesia, Japan, and the Philippines, as well as Cahyadi's career in sports marketing and part of the Mahaka Sports Group. Before we get stuck into that, thank you very much for listening. If this is the first episode you listen to, thank you very much. If you've been listening to the podcast since episode 1, I really do appreciate it. You might be doing so on sportsgeekhq.com, or you might be doing it on your favorite podcast app, whether that be mine, Pocket Casts, or others, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. I really do appreciate the feedback that I get. You can always send feedback via social media platforms at Sean Callanan on those platforms, or you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Much appreciated for those who've left a review or a star rating. It does help. Before I get stuck into this chat with Cahyadi, I'm recording this very nervously the day before the AFL Grand Final, the Aussie Rules Pinnacle, which will be held at the MCG on Saturday. My team, the Pies, are in it versus the Brisbane Lions, so I'm a little bit nervous. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating, and maybe the next episode you hear, you'll get my reaction to that. So fingers crossed. It's a great day, and really looking forward to it. And quite funnily, Cahyadi and I both talk about going to a game when he was here in Australia in 2017, I think it was. I took him to a game, to a Pies game at the MCG. So very much full circle. But I really do hope you enjoy my chat here with Cahyadi, discussing all things FIBA World Cup and Indonesian sports overall. Very happy to welcome a good friend of mine who I met a few years ago, and luckily enough took him to an AFL game. Cahyadi Wanda, you're the CEO of Mahaka Sports. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. I mean, it's been following you since the first time we met, so it's an honor for me to be here.
Terrific. So, want to get a bit of a reason I caught up is want to catch up about the FIBA World Cup. But before we do that, I wanted to sort of dive in on your sports business story and find out how you what was your sort of break into the world of sports?
Well, it was all began. My story began back in 2012. That was the first time I met with Eric Tohir. At that time, he brought the LA Galaxy with David Beckham still playing there. They come here, and then I was there, and then I had an opportunity to talk to one of his guys about, I think what we should do is like this, it's like that. And then the guy said to me, why don't you come and meet Eric? And then after that, I met him, and he offered me, why don't you join my company? And then 2012, I start all the journey with Mahaka Sports. So Mahaka Sports basically is an all-around agency, sports agency here in Indonesia. We do promoters, sports promoter, sports sponsorship, and then licensing, everything. We do everything here in Indonesia. So after that, here I am.
So, I mean, I don't like fast forwarding over people's careers. And so I want to do a few stops. So, like you said, Mahaka Sports as a group, as a sports group, has a lot of fingers in a lot of different pies, been in the team ownership space. Obviously, tour and promoting, as you were saying, running leagues. I think when we met, you were chief marketing officer of the International Basketball League, which is the local league there. Being in such a large organisation with so many different assets and so many different events, was it really helpful in sort of building out the breadth of your skills to be able to work on either, a local league like the Indonesian Basketball League, but it also tours and those kind of things?
Yes. I mean, as a group, we do have so many sports properties here. As you mentioned, we still running the Indonesian Basketball League. And right now, what my company, the Mahaka Sports, focusing is to support them in terms of the sponsorship. And some of their events, we will become the event management for them. So now I'm no longer there. I'm fully focusing in the Mahaka Sports marketing, as what we call. And then this Mahaka Sports marketing is really the backbone of every business units, the sports business units. IBL, the Indonesian Basketball is one thing, but we also next month we will run our own esports league where also I play the same part, finding sponsorship, do the marketing. We also still running the University League of Indonesia. My company is really support every other business unit in terms of the commercials, sponsorships, and that's what we do. And if they need supervising on the event management side, we also do that for them.
And so, give us a bit of for the listeners that might be in my part of the world, Australia or in the US. Give us a bit of an idea of the Indonesian sports scene from both, what people are doing locally, but then also what sports consumption looks like in Indonesia.
Well, majority here, I mean, is for sure it's soccer or football. How do you say? I'm going to go with soccer or football, but that sports in particular is really took, I think, 90% of the market shares alone. So it's pretty big. Even the local clubs, an Indonesian football clubs, the value, if you want to sponsor them, it's similar. It's like when you want to sponsor Liverpool or Man United for this region. So the value is that high. So the local football is really strong here, and now it's going stronger because our national team doing really good in this region. So, but other than that, I think esports right now is something that really interesting. They really have the federation now. Indonesia have their own esports federation, but basketball, MotoGP, and then badminton, there's still something that people would come to watch and follow. I think that's most of the sports that really attract for Indonesian.
And similarly, we're seeing those global trends of the big European sports teams, from a football point of view, push into new markets, and we're also seeing the same with the NBA and the NFL, the NHL reaching out to different markets. Are you seeing a lot of consumption locally for those, especially as there's new streaming options? Social media has made that those sports more accessible. Is the growth and the fan growth for fans in Indonesia exploding?
For Indonesia, I think NBA is pretty big. It's a big thing for NBA. I mean, like for example, the FIBA World Cup that we had a couple months ago, because of the NBA players coming here, they really recognize the game because they follow the NBA players. They don't follow the countries, but because the NBA player was here, and they have a huge followers here for the NBA players. But other sports, like for example, NFL is very niche. People like me, I'm a fan of NFL for sure, but to find people like this group of people, it's not really big. So I don't think last season I think there is one OTT company called Mola still having these rights. I don't know for now. I'm not sure. Are we still having NFL here? But other than that, American sports like MLB used to be quite big here, but right now I think NBA is still number one because of the access. Because it's easy to watch NBA. They have a local broadcasting partner here, the MTech Group, Video.com, so people can watch NBA very easy here. And again, NBA has been around for more than 20 years here in Indonesia, so it's pretty big for NBA.
And definitely part of like your role and around different sports, you've worked with FIFA around the Asian Games and those kind of things, but you've had a long journey with FIBA in bringing, the World Cup 2023 to your part of the world. I will dive into the manic 10 days that it would have been for when the tournament was there, but I wanted to go back and sort of into that process of, it was a multi-country hosting with the Philippines, Japan, and Indonesia. What were some of those starting conversations to FIBA and put in the bid and put the pieces in place for to host the World Cup that you just hosted?
It was all started back in 2017. The Philippines are the first one to reach out to us and Japan. The reason behind it is because they lost to China during the 2019 the World Cup bid. They're still curious because the margin is tiny. It's very tiny. So they reach out to us. Why don't we make a history? Us together as an Asian countries, let's do this together. And at that time, Eric, as a central board member of FIBA, he said yes. So he gathered up a team. So every country has their own team. So we have meeting regular. That was before COVID, so we can still travel and have meeting together. We put up some a proposal. So every country is having their own proposal, but we do need have a same vision because every country must be different the way we run it. So that will be the challenge because we have the same goal, but every country will come up with their own proposal with their own advantage and disadvantage. So that was the challenge. But the idea of the three host countries is something that interesting for FIBA. So we finally win the bid. We won the bid. We bid Russia, Argentina, Turkey at that time, and the rest is history. So it's good. That was the beginning part of the journey.
So effectively, because it was in the three countries, you effectively had three country-based organising committees running it in each country.
So the way we run it, we divide it into two groups. Every country must have JMC, the Joint Management Committee with FIBA, and LOC, the one who really run the show in every country. For myself, I'm the chairman of the JMC for Indonesia. GMC basically worked before the World Cup started. This is where the representative from Japan, Philippines, myself, and FIBA, we're the one who think what will be the logo of the event, what will be the tagline of the event, what will be the mascot of the event, how do we create this? So these three JMC and FIBA who works first. And then after we've done our works, we deliver everything to the LOC. And then LOC is the one who run the show. So that's how it works. There's a GMC, there's a LOC.
Yeah, definitely a similar process. I was on the commercial committee with the Women's World Cup down here in Sydney, and so we were the same, having those discussions around sponsorship and what were the options and what the packages would look like.
That's true.
And then that direction went down to the local committee. So, tell us about the games in Jakarta in the Indonesian arena, a new venue. Being able to have the World Cup, what was it like in the venue and around the venue?
Well, we're very lucky to have a government support. I mean, definitely we cannot run this without government support. Before the World Cup, we host a FIBA Asia Cup. That was in a stadium, only 7,000 capacity, but the World Cup, they need 8,000 more capacities. That was where we proposed to the government that we need a new venue. I mean, it's Jakarta. Can you imagine Jakarta? We never have this multifunction indoor stadium that have capacity more than 10,000. So we finally have Indonesia Arena. Indonesia Arena has a capacity of 16,000 capacities. So we had so many challenges at that time. I mean, during the Asia Cup, the national team of Indonesia playing. That's when we can sell the tickets. That's when we can sell out the arena. Now, in the World Cup, we have 16,000 capacity without Indonesian national team. That was
Yep.
that was really challenging at that time. But moving forward, I think the strategy that we had to promote this works very well. So the momentum that we picked up after the Asia Cup, we do. People here realize how big basketball is. I mean, the way we packaging is very different. I mean, it's FIBA standard. So during the World Cup, the challenge again is how to sell the tickets. Um, what we do is we select two local ambassadors at that time. The first one, a gentleman called Rafi Ahmad. Uh, his Instagram followers was 71 million followers. So you combine all the global ambassadors, FIBA's Instagram, FIBA World Cup Instagram, it's still nothing compared to him. So the first
Yep.
thing is we asked Rafi, I need you to be here. I mean, it's an important role. It's a country's event, not only my event, not only our event. This is country, this is Indonesia's face that we're having here. So he's really supportive. He with 71 million followers, anything that you post, anything that you say, has some impacts, especially here in Jakarta. So with Ravi's on board, he's been helping us from the mascot launch, the logo launch, everything that we have. We just let him do the work. And then after that, we think that we need to reach more female audience. So that is where we appointed our second local ambassador called Cinta Laura Kiel. She has like 9 million followers. And she do have some impacts like for the sustainable environment. She's really into that. So from this side, we managed to show to Indonesian that this is not only an event. This is the World Cup. We have mission on this. Like sustainability is part of this. I mean, it's not a big movement, but it is something that we need to start here in Indonesia. So with those two, I mean, the ticket sales keep climbing. So, but still, the number is not really quite there yet. I mean, just 2 weeks before the game, can you imagine a game like Spain versus Iran from 16,000 capacity? We only sell 300 at that time.
Was there panic stations and people saying how do we get the tickets? Because it is a challenge. Like, when you're a host country and the matches where if your host nation isn't playing, to leverage that. So I was really interested to using the influencers and getting them on board, but then also just that festival of basketball and that fan zone and that herodom of, hey, what NBA players or what big stars. So were there certain things that helped get people in the door, the cheeks and the seats, as I like to say?
Yeah, but I really understand the culture here in Indonesia. They buy tickets very last minute. So when the teams has
Okay.
finally arrived, when they really see Shea Gilgis Alexander coming off the plane, Rudy Gobert coming off the plane, that's when they realize, okay, it's happening. Then they start buying tickets.
Did that really make like your PR piece and bringing in traditional media and making sure it's on the news as well as social and digital to build that buzz? Because there was a little similarity with even with the Women's Football World Cup here. Like the football fans knew it was coming, but the general mainstream of Australia was like, oh, I don't know. And then when it became real, like when the first matches happened or you started seeing them on training and then the momentum grew, was it really, traditional media? We talk about, TV and radio and getting people excited. That was one thing that really pushed the fans and the ticket sales along?
To be honest, yes. The push last minute from the media, and also we work with the Ministry of Information of Indonesia, which they're really helpful to push all the assets, the traditional media, the social media, really there at the airport to cover everything, all the process, and then they really have this. Every day we have slots in television for a talk show, so that really helps. So again, this is something that a big challenge for us, but we managed to really tackle this last minute. But again, the social media, traditional media, both are really a big help for us on this.
And then when people came, the activations around the stadium and the fan zones, were those well received? Were those things that also sort of push that word of mouth? Someone thinking they're coming to a game and there's all these activities and things you can do, and for Instagrammable moments, with people sharing pictures. Do you think that also helped the momentum of the tournament overall?
I think there are three factors on how we managed to almost sell out. I mean, compare of two other host countries, we have the biggest occupancies at the end of the day. So the number one factors is the Indonesian arena. People really want to see what it's like to be there, to be in the middle of the World Cup in that new venues. So the Indonesia arena really attract people to come. The second one, the fan zone that we make across the street, we have concert every night for free, and the lineups that we bring is a big names in Indonesia. So like it or not, the hype of the World Cup is really there, and people started to realize, oh, if people's there, I need to be there as well. I need to go there. And number three is the courtside seats, where at the first time we invited all the A-list celebrities in Indonesia to sit there, and then they creating the buzz. I mean, they said, "Oh my God! Like this is the court seat. This is the court side. This is only happening in NBA before. Now it's happening here. I mean, I can see the NBA players are from here." So it's creating a buzz, and even in the surrounding of the celebrity, they talk to each other, and then they apply to us, and we said we try to manage like, oh, I'm sorry, it's sold out for today. I need you. I can have you as a waiting list for tomorrow or the next 2 days, and it creating a buzz because, oh, I want to be there. I have to be there if I'm someone in Indonesia. So once they have that opportunity, they have a full effort to promote the event. And they have millions and millions of followers. So the multipliers, the effect is there. So people start to come. People really come. I mean, even a game like Canada versus Lebanon, we sell 10,000 tickets just for them to see to be there. So that's I think the three key factors to creating the hype of the World Cup here in Jakarta.
One of the things when hosting a World Cup, and you're very much embedded in the Indonesian sports scene, is the 10 days is amazing, and it's it would have been long days for you and your team, making sure everything's right, and from every day, the friends at the Australian Open talk about sleepers for the week. Like, you just don't do that during the tournament. But when you've got a World Cup in your country, you also want to talk about legacy and what is the flow-on effects for that, whether it be for future events at Indonesia Arena or future growth of basketball or future growth of participation in sports. Were those some of the things that you were tackling, planning for, hoping for out of the World Cup?
So the first thing that becomes our legacy is definitely the Indonesia Arena. Without the World Cup, there will be no indoor multifunction stadium in the heart of Jakarta. Even Mr. President, when the inauguration of the venue, he said that. I mean, this is all because of the FIBA World Cup. Um, our hope in sports, of course, to inspire young people. I mean, something that really amazed me, because Indonesia maybe is quite different compared to other countries. To see a lot of kids coming to the event. It's something that makes me really, really happy. I mean, this is it. I mean, if you want to watch football games here in Indonesia, not so many kids can come because
Yep.
our history, you know. So when you have this kind of event and kids really come, that really is something that I cannot put up in words. I mean, this is it for Indonesia. This is something that you want to inspire them to create a stronger national teams. You play basketball for a reason now, because we already have the World Cup now. It's about time in the future that we're the one who play in the World Cup. So that's the message that we want Indonesian people like really, really to have, to inspire them. In terms of the Indonesia arena, I think they're doing okay. I mean, after the World Cup, they have so many booking for concert, especially for concert. People, promoter here has been longing for something, a venue like this. So they're doing okay. But for the basketball side, I think that's the hope.
I mean, you could talk from experience the impact on kids. I saw some pictures of your son, on court, and getting to experience and meet some NBA stars. Have you seen that? Have you seen that spark through your son and his friends just by being close to the action?
Do you know what, John? It's a battlefield. I mean, so many moms want their sons to be there. Can you imagine that? So every game, no, every day we have different group of kids because they wanted to be there. I mean, I will talk from my son's experience. He says he never believed that he could be standing right next to Shea Gilgis Alexander. I mean, they only watched them on TV. Now they're finally there and playing their best game. I mean, they really put up a show when they were here. So the sparks is definitely there. He said he doesn't want to wash his hand anymore because he got high five with Shay, high fiving with Dylan Brooks, and he was like, uh, you can tell by every kiss that the way they looked at it, even before they enter the arena to walk with the players, when they see the whole arena, the whole setup, you can tell how excited for them to be there, and they most of them played basketball, so they know how big it is. That is something that again I cannot put up in words because it's very, very valuable for me to see that kind of reaction from them.
And from your point of view, I mean, we saw the numbers from a social and digital and fan engagement around the World Cup but from you and your team from locally, was it a success for you and your team over the 10 days?
Again, for us, I mean, Indonesia is not a basketball country. So to have that numbers of engagement of from social medias everywhere. I mean, for 10 days, the contents of social media in Indonesia is just us. Nothing other than FIBA World Cup is on the timeline. Everything is about the players. It's about people taking selfies during the game. It's about the content that we create. Like for example, you can have a Mario Kart driving inside of the venues for the content that created by the sponsors. So that's all the timelines that we can see in Indonesia for that 10 days. So it is a big success for us. It is something that quite remarkable. I mean, just to remember that right now.
What normally happens in the world of sport? One event finishes and another one is going to start. What are some of the events and big moments on the horizon for you in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, it will happen less than 1 month from now, Sean. It's going to be the second MotoGP in Indonesia in 13, 14, and 15 of October. So after India yesterday, they will go to Japan. After Japan, I think they will go straight to Indonesia. So yeah, I mean, again, it's a every year we have a new challenge. Of course, the first year of MotoGP, the infrastructure is not there yet. I mean, the parking space is very limited. People wants to go there, they don't know where to park. We cause traffic jam. Is the traffic jam is just massive. But this year, everything has been fixed. But still, we still have one challenge: the hotel. The number of hotels is still very low. So this is something that we are working in with the government again, to put an extra flight so people can stay in Bali. They fly to Mandalika to watch the GP, and after that they can go straight to the airport and sleep in Bali, because it's
Yep.
very it's 30 minutes away from Bali, because the hotel still the biggest challenge. But in terms of the event, I think we are better prepared compare of last year, because after the MotoGP we already did three World Superbike, so it's something that a valuable lesson for us. So yeah, the other challenge is to book the right artists for the side events. So many artists now after COVID, their schedule is crazy. It's fully booked everywhere. Even for MotoGP right now, it's very challenging for us to find artists, the good artists, the A-list artists. So that is something that will happen in less than a month for me.
Terrific. Well, good luck with that event, Charlie. I want to finish with the Sports Geek closing five. Do you remember the first sports event you ever attended?
I was born and raised in Bali. So at that time, there was a game between a local Bali's football club, which now no longer exists. It's called Gelora Dewata. Now they become Bali United. So that was the first time, because usually I only listen to the radio, the live broadcast on the radio, and then I finally there to watch. I don't know, I was 10 years at the time, because yeah, I was 10 years. That was the first experience.
Terrific. And you would have been a lot of sports events in your time. Do you have a favorite food at a sports event, or a favorite food memory at a sports event?
Well, yeah, I mean, during the Asian Games, we have a lot of local food over there, and one of my favorite all time favorites is banana fries. So it's always easy. It's easy to walk to the stadium while you're having it, and it's an all time favorite. So yeah, banana fries always become my favorite.
What's the first app you open in the morning?
Instagram.
Well, that's good, because that's exactly how I reached out to you to organise this podcast. So
Yeah.
you're staying on brand.
Yeah. So the reason why I opened Instagram, I mean, so all the information is there right now. The latest score, the highlights, the latest news, everything is there. It's very easy to know everything in just in one app. And then WhatsApp.
Terrific. Is there someone that you either follow or read or look up to that the Sports Geek podcast listeners should check out and follow?
I believe all your followers already following some the accounts that I follow. I don't really have anything in particular. I mean, of course, every one of you now following Fabrizio Romano for the transfer updates, right? I think that's
Yep.
he's my favorite. And in NBA, I think Adrian, who's the
Woj.
latest,
You got to
Woj.
keep up to date with your
Yes,
the NBA updates.
yes.
Yeah.
So those two in football and basketball, that's my go-to accounts, Instagram accounts.
Terrific. Yeah, they're the easy ones. If you just want to keep up to date, you just put the alerts on for those.
Yeah.
And you might have already spoiled the results, but that's fine. But what social media platform is your MVP? What's your most valuable social media platform?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, it's got to be, of course, it's Instagram again, because you the highlights, I think, is something that I really looking, and then you can have anything there. I mean, it's very interactive. For me, it's very easy to use. I mean, you just can scroll and you can have everything. Instagram is my number one.
And I do think, shout out to Alistair Hogg and the FIBA team. I thought they did a terrific job on Instagram, and especially leveraging the latest options of, collaborating with either a player or collaborating with the organising body.
Yes.
In the different countries.
With the national federation, they keep collaborating, which tremendous. Yeah.
So it really opened up, and obviously those kind of things change as rights change and social access to rights change. But I thought, if you're looking at those digital numbers, a big reason would have been that the fact that they could collaborate with it, some of those NBA stars and some of the national bodies did really well. Wrapping this podcast up, what is the best way for people to reach out to you and to learn more about what you're doing and keeping an eye on sports in your part of the world?
I think there are two. I mean, the first one obviously is Instagram. I mean, my Instagram account is a little bit funny, but it's already like that. So it's the official Cahyadi. And my LinkedIn is also a good way to reach out to me.
Definitely, and that's where you have shared a bunch of insights from the World Cup and what you're doing. So I'll keep an eye out there for the MotoGP. But thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much for catching up. Hopefully, I'll either be in your part of the world soon, or maybe you'll be in my part of the world, and we can go catch a game of sport somewhere.
Looking forward to it. I mean, it's about time that we're catching up soon, man.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thank you.
Learn from the Sports Geek Amplify Season 2 cohort. Trajectory, Xtonet, SeatGeek, Sponsor CX, and Stats Perform. For more, go to sportsgeekamplify.com.
Thanks again to Cahyadi Wanda. We will have links to his LinkedIn in the show notes. You can go to sportsgeekhq.com/349 because this is episode 349. Also, you can follow him on Instagram, the official Cahyadi, and we'll put some links into the show notes. I really do appreciate catching up with him again. Before I wrap up, I just want to ask the question, and it is a question I do get asked myself, so I'm sort of putting it there and answering it. When is a good time to review digital? My answer to that is any time. Obviously, a lot of people will say, hey, it's at the end of the season. We want to do it at the end of the season, sort of have a deep dive and look at things from an overall perspective. And that is quite valid. There's more time available from the weekly grind of week-to-week contests and games and those kind of things. But my counter to that is, and I'm also more than happy to do those end-of-season deep dives and looking at different things, but my counter to that is in-season adjustments can be made with your team without that deep dive experience. And that's pretty much what we do with all of our clients in checking in with them, solving little problems, looking for minor performance tweaks. It's exactly how we apply the digital to dollars process, working with digital and sponsorship teams. Yes, it's great to do a proper review at the end of the season. If you're at the end of your season, please drop us a line or give me a call. More than happy to help review what you've done. But then the other piece is, if you're in season, you're thinking, oh, well, we should wait to the end of the year. There's a real opportunity to make some small changes for big results, whether that is having a quick look at the process and the tools, and is there efficiencies to be made there? Are you maximizing output? And sometimes that's actually hard to look at after the fact because you're sort of separated from the weekly, the hectic schedule that is in season. So, sort of looking at those sort of friction points and where things are breaking down. Sometimes a third party or someone coming from external can help with that. The other thing is creative brainstorms. What I have found with some teams, they can get in such a really good rhythm in season and getting the same content out, making sure they're hitting their marks each day of the week, that they can get in a bit of a rut, and it does make it hard to give your team some of that creative space to brainstorm new ideas. So again, that's another way to give your team a supercharge during the season, or give them some ideas and give them some creativity and give them some inspiration in the season. And then the last one, or not the last one, the next one I want to discuss is platform optimization. Again, as your season is in season, there's more opportunities to test and see how things are working. Because you've got in-season content, you've got highlights, you've got access to players, you've got access to talent, those kind of things. So it's much easier to be doing testing and learning and optimizing your platforms, whether they be social or digital or your email and comms, while you're in that rhythm of the season. So again, it's something you can look at tactically. Hey, we want to really maximize what we're doing on this platform. What should we do further? How can we improve? Is again another way that we work with teams on a bit more of on a micro level, looking at a smaller project. And then the last one that I did want to discuss is amplification. How you can take what you're doing from an organic point of view, what you're doing really well, how you can leverage and pull some of the levers that advertising offers, especially across the meta platforms, to really fuel that growth and fuel that partner satisfaction with what you're doing. And so that can be in Facebook, but then also we're seeing TikTok building out its ad products and seeing how their ad products can help fuel growth and engagement with your fans. So there are a lot of the things that that only can be really leveraged while you're in season. So for those of you who have finished seasons in this part of the world, we've just finished football seasons and the winter sort of codes. More than happy for you to reach out and review what you've done from the season. But then the other piece of advice I've got here is anytime is a good time to sort of start looking at how you can improve your digital team. And I think there's actually more opportunities to improve your team during the season. So until next episode, hopefully next time you speak to me, I'll be celebrating another Collingwood premiership, and who knows, might ever make the TV coverage again, making a fool of myself, dance in the stands. If that's what I have to do to get a premiership, I'll do that. My name is Sean Callanan, and you've been listening to Sports Geek.
Looking to help your digital or sponsorship team? Book in for a Pick My Brain session with Sean Callanan to help your team level up. Book now at sportsgeekhq.com/pickmybrain. Want to help drive more revenue from your digital efforts? Book a time for a call. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call.